A Secret for Two, after Quentin Reynolds. Pierre Dubin was a milkman. He delivered milk to the families on Prince Edward Street, a small street in Montreal, a city in Canada. During the past 15 years, Pierre's milk wagon was pulled by a large white horse. When the horse first came to the stables of the milk company, he didn't have a name. The manager told Pierre that he could use the white horse. Pierre looked into the horse's eyes and said, "This is a kind horse, a gentle and faithful horse. I will call him Joseph." Pierre and Joseph became good friends. Each morning Pierre arrived at the stables of the milk company at 5 o'clock. "Good morning, old friend," he called and climbed into his seat. Joseph turned his head and looked at Pierre happily. "Look, the horse is smiling at him," the other drivers used to say. Pierre called softly to Joseph, "Forward, my friend," and this wonderful Pierre started proudly down the street. Joseph was a smart horse. After a year he knew the milk route as well as Pierre. Pierre often said, "I never touched the reins." Joseph knows just where to stop. Even a blind man could do my job with Joseph pulling the wagon. So it went for years. Always the same. Pierre and Joseph grew old together. Pierre's big mustache was white now, and Joseph didn't lift his knees so high or raise his head quite as much. Then one morning, Pierre appeared at the stables carrying a heavy walking stick. "Hey, Pierre," the manager laughed. "Maybe you have old age trouble, huh?" "Yes," Pierre said weakly. "One grows old. One's legs are tired." "You should teach Joseph to carry the milk to the front door for you," the manager told him. "He does everything else." One morning, the presidents of the milk company came to check the early morning deliveries. The manager pointed Pierre out to him. "Watch how he talks to the horse. See how the horse listens and how he turns his head toward Pierre. See the look in the horse's eyes. You know, I think these two share a secret. Pierre is a good man, but he is getting old. I think he should retire. He has been on his road now for 30 years. It's time he rested. We can give him a small pension." But of course the president agreed. "He should stop work. Tell him that he'll get his pay every week as before." But Pierre didn't want to retire. He was in panic at the thought of not driving Joseph every day. "We're two old men," he said to the manager. "Let us grow old together. When Joseph is ready to retire, then I too will retire." The manager, who was a kind man, understood. There was something about Pierre and Joseph that made a man smile. When Pierre was sitting in his seat and Joseph was pulling the wagon, they didn't seem old. But when they finished their work, Pierre and Joseph looked very old and tired. Then one morning the manager had sad news for Pierre when he arrived at the gate of the milk company. It was a cold morning and still dark. The air was icy and it was snowing heavily. "Pierre, your horse Joseph didn't wake up this morning," the manager said. "He was very old, Pierre. He was 25, and this is like being 75 for a man." "Yes," Pierre said slowly. "Yes, I'm 75, and I cannot see Joseph again." "Of course you can," the manager said softly. "He is in the stable, looking very peaceful. Go over and see him." No, you don't understand," Pierre said weakly. The manager put his hand gently on Pierre's shoulder. "We'll find another horse just as good as Joseph. In a month you'll teach him to know your route as well as Joseph did. Well." The look in Pierre's eyes stopped him. He looked into Pierre's eyes and he saw something which shocked him. He was a dead, lifeless look in them. "Take today off, Pierre," the manager said. But Pierre was already walking heavily down the street, tears running down his face. Pierre walked to the corner and stepped into the road. There was a cry from the driver of a big truck that was coming fast, and there was a scream of brakes. 5 minutes later, an ambulance arrived. A doctor said he's dead. He was killed instantly. The manager and the other drivers looked at the old man lying on the ground. "I couldn't help it," the truck driver said. "He walked right into my truck. He never saw it, I guess. He stepped into the road like a blind man." The doctor looked at them. "Blind? Of course the man was blind. Look at his eyes. This man has been blind for 5 years." The doctor turned to the manager. "You say he worked for you. Didn't you know he was blind?" No, the manager said softly. "None of us knew. Only one knew. A friend of his named Joseph. It was a secret, I think, just between those two."